Hey guys, TommyBryson here, and is free money a thing? Is it a real thing? And my grandma always told me, Tommy, if it sounds too good to be true, then it probably is. But my grandma isn't here right now. She's still alive, don't worry, she's just not here right now. And she doesn't really understand fully economics because in reality, free money and to borrow free money is a very real thing. And you might think, Tommy, like I used to think also, that's not possible because even though these people borrow money to either buy a car or buy a house and they find a way with inflation and all these numbers, they're still paying for it. So it's not free, they still pay it. But economically, if, for example, my dad lends me $100 and it charges me like $2 a month and I basically lend it to my sister for $3 a month, the answer is I'm making money. There is leverage there. And in reality, it's like me borrowing free money, even though if my sister isn't paying, I still gotta pay the money. So in this video, I'm gonna tell you the big danger about borrowing free money. Yeah, when it comes to those credit card letters you get in the mail. Yeah, when it comes to going into the dealership and being offered 0% interest. Yeah, when it comes to furniture. But most importantly, when it comes to the real money, like a mortgage, rental property, student loans, and personal loans and business loans, we can actually legit get free money from the government. In this video, I'm gonna break everything down and see if it actually makes sense to go ahead and borrow free money. And as always, guys, destroy the like button. I appreciate it a ton. On top of that, also, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you're notified because I post videos every single week on money, investing, and so on. And by the way, I saw this legit article on a website. I won't mention it. I don't like drama. And this guy wrote an article saying, hey, there is a way to basically live in a world where there is no interest rate. So imagine borrowing money at 0%. But then the whole idea was so stupid to the point where it sounded stupid on paper and it also sounded stupid in the real world. Be very careful what you read, but you would only know it's stupid if you understand stupid, okay? And I understand stupid because I'm a little stupid, okay? But I just wanted to mention that be careful when you hear about these interesting modern ideas about we shouldn't have any interest rate in this planet and so on, and they're all anti-capitalism, okay? Be careful with that. But let's get into this video. Now, 0% financing. Exactly what is it? When did it start? And by the way, I can't tell you when exactly it started, but I can tell you what this term really means in marketing terminology is discounted finance. And the idea is simple. You have a business, you have a bank sometimes, a credit card company, somebody, a lender, okay? And then you have a customer. And the idea is that by offering somebody 0%, when you think about it from the business perspective, it's a lot better to offer somebody, hey, how about you pay me $166 a month for 5 years instead of giving me $10,000 today? That sounds a lot better. And you also get charged 0% interest if you pay on time. That sounds like a sweet deal because you hear, I get this $10,000 item that I want and it doesn't cost me any interest, so why wouldn't I want to go ahead and capitalize? That's how the customer thinks, okay? And in reality, the business just wants to sell you a product, all right? That's all they really care about. And then the lender side is like, we're gonna finance this, no problem, right? Because if this person basically pays off the whole thing, great. We lost some money via inflation because the money we lent that person now is worth less than it was like 18 or 5 years ago. But if they don't pay, we're gonna basically get a bunch of cash. And the odds that you're gonna pay on time are as likely as me being on American Idol and also winning. Very, very slim, okay? But some people pay on time, but it's a very dangerous game to actually play. So the idea is 0% interest rate is just an incentive to get you in the door and to get you started in something, whether it's a loan, whether it's buying something. And the way we justify it is basically, it doesn't cost us anything. No, dummy, it costs you $10,000. You still bought something you can't afford. And by the way, I know someone legitimately told me, Tommy, I bought a $10,000 mattress and my back thanks me. And they told me, Tommy, you should buy it too so your back can thank you. And I'm saying, well, I'm afraid my back is gonna thank me, but in reality, my pillow is always going to be wet. He says, why? Do you drool? And I'm like, no, from all the crying, from the regret and the stupidity that I'm going to feel. A $10,000 mattress. Ridiculous if you ask me. That's a real story, by the way. Now, let's talk more detail here. Now, I guarantee that at some point you either got or will get in the future a letter in the mail for, let's say, a credit card. And that credit card, let's say, is Discover, because Discover sends a lot of these letters out. They're gonna offer you 18 months. That's what they offered me a long time ago. 18 months interest-free on purchases, okay? Now, what that means is, hey, we're gonna give you a credit line. And by the way, there are literally articles on the internet that talk about what this is. It's called a hook strategy when it comes to marketing. It's giving you an incentive because basically you get to have this money for 18 months and basically buy whatever you want to buy. It's giving you basically, hey, it's risk-free because it's 18 months, you can still figure it out reality. And on top of that, they give you a credit line, money that's not yours, but you can basically utilize it and buy things. And the perspective is always, well, I'm gonna buy everything I need right now and I'm gonna pay it before the 18 months is over. Now this is great business for credit card companies, because basically most people, what happens is they got on the credit card and they also say, well, I'm going to use this to actually build my credit score up. They got the credit card, they swipe, they max out the line, and then in reality, once the 18 months are over, they're still stuck with this massive balance and they're like, okay, what am I going to do? And I've seen people with a lot of money go through this, by the way, because the credit line is going to be bigger. My friend went through this. He was basically remodeling a home, and I went through this. So I was basically building a business by borrowing money and then saying, hey, it's 0% interest, like I just paid back before. And then I was like, shoot, I only have 6 months left and there's this massive loan here. I paid it off, which was very lucky, but in reality, it can get very worse. And that's how people end up getting stuck with such a large amount of debt. Because remember, if you have $1,000 limit, right? And let's say that's a lot of money to you, and then you're stuck paying 16% on it or 24% on it, and they're basically combining the capital plus the interest every single month, then you might just be able to pay that off and not be able to make any extra payments. But by that point, you are already hooked. It reminds me of the episode of SpongeBob when there are all these hooks around Bikini Bottom and they keep basically jumping on them and he's like, woo, woo, and then when you go up, you might not come back down. It is super, super dangerous when it comes to this game. It's just a hook, it's just incentive, and it's just making the whole process friction-free by also telling you, hey, you've also been pre-approved. Now, people do this when it comes to, for example, hey, credit cards, car loans, furniture, electronics, and also travel. These are basically just stuff that we want. We're able to basically get it right now and then pay for it later. And the business always gets paid now, and then now you're stuck basically dealing with the lender. And the lender does this because they know, hey, this is a great way to get people in the door, because now we have, and by the way, the reason they make these deals, well, one big reason is because you get a whole bunch of new customers that come through the door to basically borrow money from you. Like this, like clockwork. And the mathematics shows, statistics show basically, most of these people, they're not gonna pay on time, and then we're basically gonna be making a bunch of money from them. And you know how hard it is to get rich paying somebody 18% or 24%? Because if you're investing like a normal average person, you'll make like 10, 12%, right? Which is fine, great stuff. But if you're spending 16, 24% on debt, it's very hard to get wealthy. Almost impossible if you ask me. Now, that's one side of this story, but there is another side. And by the way, I would call that my grandma's theory of, well, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is, because a lot of that marketing type stuff is too good to be true, and it is because it really is too good to be true, okay? But there is another side here, and it's the side of there is a way to actually get free money. And that usually comes from government incentives or just the government intervening in some way. So you have free money going on when it comes to mortgages, student loan debts, and also business loans and so on, and a lot of other factors. But think about it for a second, okay? How does a company make money by issuing you out a mortgage at a very low rate? Think about it, okay? If you bought a home and you paid $200,000 for this home, which is If you find one right now for that price, congratulations, okay? Because right now the average home sells for like $300,000-$400,000. Kind of crazy if you ask me. But overall, $200,000, you bought this home. How does someone get rich by only charging you 3% when inflation is like 3% and right now it's like 9%? Right? So that basically means that by them issuing out this money to you, that money loses the same buying power that you're basically paying them every single year. And in reality, if you hold this asset for 30 years while you're paying it off, well, this asset also gains value. Let's say 3% hypothetically. That means by the end of the loan, your house is worth like $400,000 and the bank basically lost like 53% of the buying power that $200,000 basically had. So in this way, in this manner, it is free money, because the money you pay back isn't enough to actually make any profit whatsoever, if that makes sense. And the asset is going up by an equal amount in reality or even more, so you're basically making more money on top of the money that you're basically paying. And that's called, my friends, leverage. But there is one big but here, and it's that basically leverage is a double-edged sword without a master. So it'll cut you, it'll cut the bank, it doesn't care who's gonna cut. So if you end up buying a home that's super expensive and you can't afford it and you default, well, all the payments you made before, your entire investment, everything is basically gone. And also, for example, let's say student loan debts, which by the way, I don't really recommend at all. There's a way to go to college for free. There's books on this stuff, okay? Scholarships you apply for, you get a job, you save up, and you basically go to community college and so on, okay? But that's another video for another day. But the idea is, think about it. If you go to school and you get a loan for like $100,000, and this degree pays you $50,000 a year, and you're paying 3%, then in reality, you're making basically like a 50% return on your investment annually. But most people, what happens is they get stuck because their lifestyle goes up like this, expenses, and then the money they have left over to pay that loan is very minimum. That's the big issue here. And when it comes to business loans, the same thing, right? You had, for example, all of these loans being issued out during the pandemic, like at 3.75%. No one's making money that way, but it's an incentive to get the business person to get money, flush it into the economy, and it has a purpose. So overall, leverage is a real thing. Money for free, borrowing is also a real thing, but it's also very dangerous. And by the way, I forgot to mention points. Those are incentives, okay? So whenever somebody offers you points, like you get back 2%, you get back this, those are all incentives. And what basically companies are basically playing here is a numbers game. And the odds are, hey, if they pay on time fully, we lose 2%, but in reality, we charge those fees and transactions, so we're not really losing anything whatsoever. But if they don't, we make 18%. Like, what game would you want to play where if you win, you get 2%, if you lose 18%? It's just not a game I want to be involved in. So my ultimate strategy as far as Tommy, if borrowing money for free is a very real thing, are you gonna do it? Do you recommend it? The answer is no. It's, again, it's leverage. It has no master. You'll get cut either side. It doesn't care. You have to be very careful, and things have to go in your favor most of the time. And that's not how the world works. So I'd rather live a life where basically I try to buy everything that I have basically in cash. I try to have no debt whatsoever, and then I basically have an emergency account in case things go wrong. I have my investment account that I build up over time, and then I try to have a paid off home as fast as possible. So if you have basically very little expenses, and you also have no money going out for its debt, and then you have an investment account that's basically growing, what you have is a lot of extra money to say, hey, whatever I want to buy, I can just save up money to basically buy it. So overall, the whole idea of this video, and by the way, if you made it all the way here, I want you to comment down below free, so I know you made it all the way to the point in this video, and I also know you're a real person. If you comment free, then your comment, so I know you're real and not a bot, because that's a problem here on YouTube today, okay? But overall, the idea is that free money does exist, but it comes along with leverage, and leverage brings risk. And when things don't go well, you are still liable, and those things can basically put you in a spot where things are basically sunken. I know people, well, not personally, I've heard stories, let me be honest here, of people that say, I'm gonna pay my credit card off every month, whatever, and then something happens, the credit card balance is still there, they still keep using it, and actually, I know people about this, okay? They still keep using it, and then before you know it, they have a large balance, no job, and it's kind of like, but I was responsible, everything was fine, and then this happens. So what I use for building credit, sustaining credit, is the one bill method, but I don't borrow money to buy stuff in reality. The last time I borrowed money was to buy something for my house remodel, and it's because I didn't have a debit card on hand, and all I had was a credit card, so I had to like buy it with the credit card and then pay it off literally right there. I don't play games. Thanks for watching, guys. As always, like, subscribe, hit the bell to get notified, comment down below any questions, and if you have any ideas, then comment them down below too. And any questions, comment down below too, okay? And as always, long-term team officially out. More content here. My face is here, and as always, peace.